Welcome to the CALA Builders Podcast. What if I told you that dropping like 150 grand to completely overhaul and open up your cramped Los Angeles kitchen is actually, well, one of the worst financial investments you can make for your home's immediate resale percentage?
It sounds completely crazy, right?
It really does. But today we are doing a deep dive into the brutal, expensive, and honestly deeply rewarding reality of reinventing Los Angeles real estate. Because usually when we talk about home renovations, there's this expectation of a quick, clean, magical television montage.
Yeah, the classic HGTV effect.
Exactly. You knock down a wall with a sledgehammer, go to commercial break, and boom, you have a stunning, sun-drenched, open-concept living space.
It's incredibly satisfying to watch, but it creates a wildly skewed perception of what a true transformation actually takes. I mean, we like things to be instantaneous, we want the big reveal, but in reality, you aren't just swiping a credit card for new cabinets, you're engaging in heavy construction.
And when you step into the real world of LA real estate, suddenly all that television magic just vanishes. We're looking at a logistical, financial, and architectural landscape that is, honestly, a massive maze to navigate.
It is the absolute definition of a complex undertaking, which is why whether you are, currently prepping for a minor kitchen update or dreaming about a full-blown structural overhaul, you need to know exactly what is hiding behind your drywall.
Right. So today, drawing from a comprehensive guide to LA home transformations alongside the professional portfolio and methodology of CALA builders, we are giving you the exact numbers, the common regrets you absolutely need to avoid, and the insider playbook for getting it done right.
Because your home is likely your biggest asset, and you really need to go into this with your eyes wide open.
Let's start with the architectural reality of the city itself. Why do LA homes need such intensive remodeling in the first place? Because looking at the source material, a true before and after here, isn't just about changing paint colors.
No, it's highly structural. What's fascinating here is that the Los Angeles housing stock tells a very specific historical story. Many of the homes we live in today were built decades ago, primarily during two massive booms.
1920s and the 1960s, right?
Exactly. And the way people lived, entertained, and functioned back then is just fundamentally at odds with how families actually live today.
Yeah, like if you walk into a classic 1920s Spanish bungalow in a neighborhood like Los Feliz or Pasadena, I mean, they are absolutely gorgeous from the curb.
Oh, stunning.
But then you walk inside, and you almost always find this tucked away, completely isolated galley kitchen.
Right, and there is a historical reason for that. In the 1920s, the kitchen was strictly a utilitarian workspace. It was hot, it was smoky, it was loud.
Oh, so they want it hidden.
Exactly. It was designed to keep the cooking completely separate from the formal living and entertaining spaces.
Makes sense.
But then fast forward to the boom of the 1960s ranch-style homes, especially out in the San Fernando Valley, Woodland Hills, Calabasas. The typical before state of these homes is defined by small, boxy, closed-off rooms.
Yeah, where the layout forces anyone cooking to literally face a blank wall, totally facing away from their guests.
Exactly.
And the primary bathrooms from that era, they usually feature a single tiny vanity and a dated tub shower combo with maybe like one tiny window if you're lucky.
You're very lucky, yeah.
So the after state we are all chasing isn't necessarily about adding thousands of square feet. The footprint of the house often stays exactly the same.
Right.
But taking down a wall in a 1960s ranch doesn't just change the light in the room. It triggers a massive domino effect for the home's underlying system.
Oh, it changes everything.
I like to think about it like technology. A cosmetic refresh, like just throwing down some new luxury vinyl flooring or painting the cabinets, just putting a new case on an old phone.
I love that.
But a full home remodel, that is upgrading the entire operating system and the processor.
That is a perfect way to look at it. You are rewiring how the home functions on a core level. Because when you remove a wall to create an open concept, you aren't just dealing with wood.
Right.
You are suddenly dealing with rerouting the HVAC returns that were inside that wall.
Yeah.
You're dealing with load-bearing structural beams that now need to span 20 feet across a ceiling.
Which means engineering new point loads down into the foundation, right?
Exactly.
But here's where I want to push back a little on the methodology recommended in our sources.
Okay.
They heavily advocate for doing a full home transformation all at once. I hear you on the cohesive design and the engineering, but practically speaking, most families don't have $500,000 in liquid cash to drop all at once.
Sure. Yeah.
If I'm looking at my 60s ranch, why not just renovate the kitchen this year, wait a bit, do the primary bathroom next year as my budget allows, and just take it slow? Isn't piecemealing a necessary evil?
It's a very common approach, definitely. But here is why the building science and the economics actually work against you when you piecemeal. Let's look at the cascade effect.
The cascade effect.
Yeah. Say you just want to do the kitchen. You bring in a modern double oven, a heavy-duty induction cooktop, and a massive sub-zero fridge. Suddenly, your home's original 100-amp electrical panel from 1965 cannot handle that load.
So you have to upgrade the panel.
Yes. And the moment you upgrade the main panel, the city inspector comes out. And because you've touched the main electrical artery of the house, current code might require you to bring other exposed parts of the house up to modern safety standards.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah. You pull a permit for a kitchen, but suddenly you're paying to rewire half the house.
Wow.
Furthermore, if we connect this to the visual big picture, piecemealing over 5 or 10 years almost always leaves a home feeling disjointed.
Because trends change.
Trends change, material batches differ. Your 2026 kitchen floor might be discontinued by the time you renovate the living room in 2029.
Oh, leaving you with a weird transition strip in the middle of your open floor plan.
Exactly. So doing it all at once ensures that the flow, the flooring, the paint, and the underlying systems all speak the exact same language from day one.
Okay, but that brings us to the elephant in the room. What does this all mean for the wallet? Translating these structural dreams into realistic financial figures is where the rubber meets the road.
This is where we need to get very specific with the dollar signs, because initial square foot estimates can be incredibly deceiving. Let's break down the current per square foot costs in LA right now,
Okay.
keeping in mind the cost of materials and specialized labor. For a cosmetic refresh, paint, flooring, fixtures, but absolutely no structural changes or moving walls, you are looking at roughly $150 to $250 per square foot.
So just for the new phone case.
Precisely. Now, step up to a mid-range remodel. This includes layout changes, like taking down that wall between the kitchen and living room, and updating the systems behind the walls. That typically lands between $250 and $450 per square foot.
And the high end.
For a high-end transformation, which means custom luxury finishes, extensive structural work, heavy steel beams, or additions, that can easily jump from $450 to over $800 per square foot.
Wow. Let's give a room-by-room breakdown because aggregate numbers are tough to visualize.
Good idea.
According to our LA-specific data, kitchens typically run between $45,000 and $150,000. Primary baths land between $35,000 and $85,000.
Yeah.
Secondary baths sit around $20,000 to $35,000.
Right.
So if you take a standard 2,000 square foot Los Angeles home, a full transformation usually lands somewhere between $300,000 and $700,000 once you factor in architectural fees, city permits, and labor.
It's a huge investment. And to manage that reality, the sources introduce a vital concept for budgeting. It's called the 30% rule.
The 30% rule.
Yeah, it's a baseline guideline to help you avoid over-improving your home relative to your specific neighborhood. The rule suggests keeping your total renovation spending under 30% of your home's current market value.
Okay, let me do the math on that. If I have a home valued at $600,000, my budget cap for the remodel should be around $180,000.
Correct.
But wait, we're talking about Los Angeles. What if I buy a $1.5 million teardown in Santa Monica? 30% of that is $450,000.
Right?
That barely covers the foundation work and framing in that zip code if I'm doing a gut rehab.
That is a brilliant point, and it really highlights a quirk specific to coastal California real estate.
How so?
In places like Santa Monica or Venice, the dirt, like the land itself, holds the vast majority of that $1.5 million value, not the rotting structure sitting on it. The 30% rule is most effective in suburban neighborhoods, like the San Fernando Valley, where the structure and the land value are a bit more balanced.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
But regardless of your zip code, this raises an important question about return on investment, or ROI.
Yeah, this is the paradox.
Yes. Here's where it gets really interesting and circles back to my opening question.
Right.
The data shows that a minor cosmetic kitchen remodel, the $25,000 surface level refresh, often recoups well over 100% of its cost at resale.
Exactly.
But a major kitchen remodel, the $150,000 gut job, with the full layout change where you're knocking down walls and radically improving the flow, that only returns about 40 to 50% at resale.
Yeah.
Wait, so doing more extensive work actually yields a lower percentage return?
Yeah.
How does that make sense? Why wouldn't everyone just do the bare minimum and flip it?
It's a fantastic paradox, but it highlights the nuance of cost versus value data. Minor updates yield higher percentage returns because they offer a fresh, clean look without the massive capital expenditure of moving plumbing stacks, electrical panels, and structural supports.
Right, it's cheap to get into.
Exactly. It provides surface-level appeal for the next buyer at a low entry cost. But major remodels, those are about fundamental lifestyle upgrades, not just flipping math.
Right.
The philosophy here is that many Los Angeles homeowners are remodeling to stay for the next 15 years, not to sell next spring.
So you aren't remodeling for the market. You are remodeling for your own daily sanity.
Exactly. When you execute a full home transformation, you are shifting the priority from sheer resale percentages to your daily comfort.
That's a huge shift in mindset.
If taking down that wall means you can finally watch your kids play in the living room while you cook, or expanding that primary bath gives you a spa-like sanctuary to decompress after an hour-long commute on the 10 freeway, that daily utility holds massive personal value.
Yeah.
A simple ROI percentage on a spreadsheet can never capture the value of your peace of mind.
Okay, so with the budget established and the philosophical why answered, the next crucial layer is time and risk. Because high costs mean high stakes.
Absolutely.
How do you protect this massive investment? We have to talk about the emotional and logistical reality of living through a remodel.
The timeline is often the first harsh reality check for people. You need to plan for 2 to 4 months just for design and permitting.
Wait, why does it take so long? It's just a set of drawings, right?
Oh, definitely not in Southern California. You are dealing with strict seismic retrofitting requirements. You have Title 24 energy efficiency codes that mandate specific types of insulation, windows, and lighting.
Oh, wow.
If you live in the Hollywood Hills, you are dealing with hillside ordinances and soil engineering reports. If you're in a historic overlay zone, you have aesthetic reviews.
So it takes months to get the green light before a single hammer swings.
Exactly. And following that, you're looking at 4 to 8 months for the actual construction. So in total, you should expect a timeline of 6 to 12 months from your very first design meeting to move-in day.
And a lot can go wrong in 6 to 12 months. The sources outline the most common renovation regrets based on survey data, and they are pretty eye-opening.
And really are.
You see people regretting designing for fleeting, trendy aesthetics rather than long-term livability, or choosing cheap materials that chip and wear out in 3 years. But the biggest regret...
underestimating the total budget.
Exactly, due to hidden systems in older homes. And this usually happens when people skip the essential 10 to 15% contingency fund.
The contingency fund is completely non-negotiable. I cannot stress this enough. When you open up walls that have been sealed since 1925 or even 1965, you will find surprises.
Give me an example. What is hiding back there that eats up a contingency fund?
Plumbing is the classic culprit. Let's say you open the wall in a 1930s bathroom. On the outside, the pipes might look completely okay, but they're likely galvanized steel pipes. Over decades, galvanized pipes rust and corrode from the inside out. So a pipe that looks to be an inch wide on the outside might have a hole the size of a drinking straw left on the inside for water to actually pass through.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The moment a contractor touches that brittle pipe to connect a new modern shower valve, it literally crumbles.
So suddenly you aren't just replacing a shower head, you are repiping the entire bathroom block.
Exactly.
Wow, so to me, skipping a contingency fund in an older home is like driving on the 405 freeway without a spare tire. You're basically guaranteeing a breakdown, it's just a matter of when.
Exactly. And to build on your analogy, trying to live in the house during a major construction project is like trying to change that tire while the car is still moving down the 405.
That leads perfectly into another major regret mentioned in the sources: underestimating construction disruption.
Yeah, it's huge.
The sources mention that occupying the home adds time to nearly every single phase.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really that bad? I mean, can't a homeowner just sort of tough it out in the guest bedroom with a microwave and a mini fridge for 6 months?
It is profoundly disruptive, and yes, it absolutely slows the project down and costs you more money in billable hours.
How so?
Here is why. When a home is empty, crews can work efficiently. But when a home is occupied, they have to constantly work around your daily routines.
Right.
They have to meticulously set up zip walls and plastic sheeting every morning to create negative air pressure so dust doesn't ruin your furniture.
Okay.
They have to ensure the site is perfectly safe for you to walk through at night. And most importantly, they have to clean up to a livable, breathable standard every single day before they clock out.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That daily setup and tear down of the work zone must eat up an hour or two of billable time every single day.
It does. You are literally paying skilled tradesmen their hourly rate to sweep floors and tape up plastic instead of building your house.
Wow.
Not to mention the psychological toll on you, living inside a construction site with the noise, the vibration, the dust, and the constant presence of strangers in your sanctuary.
So we've established the specific architectural complexities of older LA homes, the massive costs involved, the rigorous permitting, the 6 to 12-month timelines, and the serious risks of budget blowouts and construction fatigue.
It's a lot.
It sounds exhausting. But this brings us to the solution. How do you avoid these pitfalls? How do you keep the budget contained and the timeline moving?
Right.
The answer in the sources lies in utilizing a comprehensive design-build team.
This is a critical distinction in the construction industry. The traditional remodeling model involves you, the homeowner, acting as a middleman.
Okay.
You hire a separate architect to draw the plans. Then you take those plans, go out to bid, and find an independent general contractor to build them.
And then they hire more people.
Right. The contractor then hires a bunch of independent subcontractors like plumbers, electricians, framers. The design-build model, on the other hand, brings all of that, architectural planning, permitting, engineering, and construction trades, under one single corporate roof.
And this is where we look at the methodology of Cala Builders, a premier Los Angeles general contractor who operates strictly on this design-build model.
Exactly. License number 1156496.
Right. Instead of looking at them as just a company, looking at how they structure their team explains exactly why this model works. Because you aren't just getting a guy with a hammer and a clipboard.
No, not at all.
They have an in-house structure that includes an owner with over 30 years of experience, a lead project manager, a senior lead designer, a licensed electrician, and a licensed plumber, all working for the same firm.
Right. And to understand the value of those roles existing under one roof, you have to look at how traditional builds fail.
Okay, give me a scenario.
In a traditional build, an independent architect might draw a beautiful, sweeping structural beam across your new open-concept kitchen. They hand you the blueprints, you pay them, and they are done.
Okay.
3 months later, your independent contractor cuts the drywall open and realizes there is a massive plumbing stack running right where that beam is supposed to go.
Oh, man. And what happens then?
Chaos. The contractor says, I can't build this. The outside plumber says it's going to cost $15,000 to move that stack.
Yikes.
You have to call the architect back, who charges you hourly to redesign the beam. This is the infamous change order nightmare. It causes massive delays and destroys your budget.
I look at that traditional process like a relay race, where everyone keeps dropping the baton.
Exactly.
The architect hands off to the contractor hands off to the plumber, and they are all pointing fingers at each other when something goes wrong.
Oh, constant finger pointing.
But the design-build model, especially the way Cala Builders implements it, is like a single, perfectly tuned orchestra with one conductor. Beyond just convenience, how does having the designer, the electrician, and the plumber all on the same internal team practically affect the day-to-day build?
Well, at a firm like Cala, the senior designer and the licensed master plumber are sitting at the same table during the blueprint phase.
Oh, early on.
Very early. Before a single permit is pulled or a single wall is opened, the in-house plumber looks at the architectural rendering and says, wait, in a 1930s house, the plumbing stack will be right there. We need to shift this beam 2 feet to the left.
They catch the problem on the blueprint with an eraser, which costs nothing, instead of catching it with a Sawzall, which costs thousands.
Precisely. It streamlines communication, it speeds up the timeline, and it controls the budget tightly because the team designing the house is the exact same team responsible for building it. There is no finger pointing.
That's huge.
And this design-build methodology is essential whether you are doing a luxury custom home build, a massive interior kitchen and bath remodel, or even exterior structural work.
And it's worth noting that Cala Builders applies this exact methodology across a huge footprint. They handle everything from attached and detached ADUs, which are massive right now in Los Angeles.
Oh, everywhere.
To room and second-story additions, commercial tenant improvements, ADA compliance, and high-end outdoor spaces like custom pools, pavers, and custom BBQs.
Yeah, their scope is massive.
And they do this across a really wide service area, essentially covering the entirety of LA County. Whether you are out in Woodland Hills or Calabasas, down in Santa Monica or over in Pasadena, they have teams deployed from their locations on West Pico and Burbank Boulevard to manage the logistics locally.
The level of intense coordination they offer is exactly what is required for the kind of high-end, detail-oriented execution that makes a full transformation successful in a city as complicated as Los Angeles.
Right.
From the very first 3D.
We broke down the heavy reality of budgeting, explaining the massive jump from a $150 a square foot cosmetic fix to an $800 a square foot structural overhaul, and how the 30% rule keeps you grounded.
Definitely.
We talked about why permitting takes so long, how to survive the 6 to 12-month timeline, and the absolute necessity of keeping that contingency fund intact to deal with those hidden galvanized pipes.
The dreaded pipes.
The dreaded pipes. And finally, we explored the massive logistical advantage of using a unified design-build team like Cala builders to manage the chaos and deliver a true luxury result without the change order nightmare.
So if you are ready to stop piecemealing your home and want to explore a cohesive, expertly managed transformation, you can contact Cala Builders directly. You can reach them at 213-855-7557 or simply visit their website to start planning your project with a team that handles everything from the first sketch to the final polish.
I highly recommend having a conversation with a design-build team before you pick up a sledgehammer and start taking out your own drywall.
Absolutely. And I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder, circling back to that initial conversation we had about return on investment.
All right.
We talked a lot today about resale value, recovering costs, the 30% rule, and the cold, hard math of real estate. But I want you to step away from the spreadsheets for a second.
Right.
Think about the hours you spend in your kitchen making breakfast for your family. Think about the time you spend decompressing in your primary bathroom every single week.
Yep.
If a remodel gives you back your sanity, if it dramatically improves your daily family flow by removing a wall that has isolated you for years, and if it makes your home a place you actually want to rush back to at the end of the day.
It's priceless.
It really is. How do you put a percentage return on your peace of mind? The next time you look around your living room, ask yourself, are you just maintaining a structure for some hypothetical future buyer? Or are you finally ready to build a home for yourself?